Hey everybody, Motorpoet59 here. I have been doing nothing on this channel. I simply haven't had the time or the motivation. I'm so busy with other things going on in my life, and as usual with my other channel, that I just have had no time or desire to do anything on this channel. I've also been neglecting my guitars. I've been neglecting a lot of things just because when I don't have something pressuring me, I tend to just rest a little bit, and things are slowing down a little bit, it seems like, but anyway, I was having a discussion the other day about the California high-speed rail with a guy. It's something to which I'm vehemently opposed. People say, yeah, man, you work for the railroad. The high-speed rail has nothing to do with railroading. California high-speed rail, high-speed rails around the world, those are not the same as railroading as we know it, especially here in America. It's not the same as freight railroading or even Amtrak, passenger railroads here in America. It's a completely different animal. It is way different. I'm going to do a piece on the high-speed rail, my opinions about it and my view of it, and what knowledge I possess about high-speed rails in general. I'll do a video of that over on Mark Clay McGowan. But what that got me thinking about where this is concerned is that the California high-speed rail was signed into law by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was sold a bill of goods, and for anyone out there who believes that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a conservative or a Republican, no. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the perfect definition of the rhino. That's exactly what he was. And he was sold this bill of goods and with all these glorious promises of something that was going to happen long after he was out of office. So if it didn't come to fruition, what did he care? Same thing with Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown knew that he would be out of office before this ever, especially when he was in office. He probably knew this would never be completed. When Gavin Newsom took office, and everyone knows how I feel about Gavin Newsom, but one of the first things he did was to cancel anything on the California high-speed rail project that hadn't already been completed. He canceled all that, and this is now, rather than a high-speed rail that's going to save the state, this is going to be known as a proof of concept, because it's going from nowhere to nowhere. It is going from right now, because of their inability to acquire land, their inability to get funding. Right now, it has stopped about 15 miles north of Bakersfield, and it goes to Madera, California, which is a small community, it's a small city north of Fresno, about 20 miles north of Fresno. But sorry, Madera, but there's really no reason for something like that to go to Madera. There's nothing in Madera. There's a community college there. There's some wineries and a glass recycling place, but there's not a lot in Madera but fields and roads. They got a pretty nice golf course. The California high-speed rail project is a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle that is already over budget and overdue. The whole thing was supposed to be done in 2020. It was signed into law in 2008, and they've yet to lay one piece of rail, even on this little piece they're going to do. And from Bakersfield to Madera is about 120 miles, give or take. The thing that got me thinking about doing this video is that they did a poll, I don't remember exactly when it was when Brown was governor, and over half the people in that poll said they wouldn't ride the high-speed rail, even if it were completed, from LA to the Bay Area, which is what it was supposed to do, because it would still be cheaper and faster to fly. And it is. It's much. There's no way that the high-speed rail would ever go from LA to the Bay Area in less than 4 hours, even if it could get up to its projected 200 miles an hour, because it still has to go over the Tehachapi Mountains, and it's not going to be able to go fast over the mountains. But when the news of that poll came out, Brown said that he would propose a tax on airline tickets between Los Angeles and San Francisco to make the high-speed rail more attractive. And I don't know that he would be able to put a big enough tax on an airline ticket from that area from that LA to the Bay Area that would work, because it would still be faster. It might cost them more to fly, but it would still be faster and more convenient. And that got me to thinking about how Democrats are doing things these days. This is what they're doing with green energy. They are making fossil fuel energy so expensive that they figure that it's going to be economically impractical for the average person to use fossil fuel energy. The problem with that is there will never be enough renewable energy to make up for whatever fossil fuels they take away from us. It just won't work. They are lying to us about renewable energy. They are lying to us about where this stuff comes from and where it goes when it dies and what it will provide while it's here. It is a lie. Some of the earliest videos I did on this channel were about the renewable energy, the solar farms and the wind farms up in Tehachapi and out in the Mojave Desert. And I said then, I'm not opposed to the technology. I'm not opposed to renewable energy, but it's not going to be the answer to our energy needs ever. Never. It never will be. It's too expensive. It takes up too much land. There is too much pushback against it right now. They're planning a big offshore wind park off Morro Bay, which is on the central California coast, about 120 miles from here. And they're already saying it's just not practical. Oh, but we have these big giant storage batteries now that'll store this energy. So what? It doesn't make any difference. It's still impractical. They are spending billions and billions of dollars, most of it subsidized by the federal government, to build these projects. But now these people are looking at these numbers and they're saying this isn't practical. We can't afford to keep building these things because they're not going to pay for themselves ever. They're never going to pay for themselves. Not that it's going to take too long. They're just never going to pay for themselves. There's a channel on YouTube called Practical Engineering. I like this guy. He does a lot of really cool stuff, but he's under the impression, I watched a deal, and this one was about nuclear power, and I get the impression that he is one of the people who believes that renewable energy is going to save us, and it's not. Is it going to help? I don't know. In some places, I guess it might. But in California, no, it's not. We have too many people here. The power grid is too immense for renewable energy to ever really make a dent in it. I watched a piece sometime back on one of the mainstream media outlets where they were saying that right now 50% of California's energy is being created and delivered by renewable energy. And that's just bull crap. That's just a bold-faced lie. That is just, it's impossible. Anyone who knows anything about this knows that I'm not being an alarmist about renewable energy. As I said, I don't think it's a bad technology. I just don't think it's the answer we're looking for, and it never will be. But the government is trying to make anything that has to do with fossil fuels so expensive that it's just not practical. And they're doing it by levying higher taxes on fossil fuels, by creating regulations that can't realistically be met. And if those regulations can't be met by oil companies and energy companies, then those companies will have to pay these immense fines. And their plan, in my opinion, is to drive these places out of business. And there will come a point And as I said, Schwarzenegger bought into high-speed rail when he knew he wouldn't have to answer for anything later. Jerry Brown furthered it for the same reasons. Newsom knows it's not going to happen, and he could have made all these promises too, and knowing that it would be way, way past the time of his governorship that any of this came to fruition. But I was really surprised that he put the brakes on all this. It just seems like the Democrats are always willing to make life tough on you and I and the people who voted for them to further their agendas. They want to get rid of fossil fuel. The Democrats themselves don't want to get rid of fossil fuel. That's the last thing they want to do, because they don't want to ride bicycles made out of hemp from their houses to the Capitol or to wherever they have to go. They want to be able to fly in jets. They want to be able to drive big fancy cars. They want to have limousines and drivers, and they want to have all the stuff they've always had. They just don't want you and I to have it. And to make sure that doesn't happen, they'll just keep making things more expensive. It doesn't matter if it's fossil fuel. Doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to make their agenda more palatable to the public, or at least more palatable to the people who think that's what they want, that's what they'll do. They will fire up taxes. They will increase tariffs. They will do whatever it takes to move their agenda forward, and they don't care how it affects you and I, because they know that in the end it won't affect them. What do you think about all that? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.